Hi, everybody. Dr. Chris Montanaro here, and I am so excited for you for signing up for this. If you're somebody who signed up for this, you're the type of person that actually wants to find out what your genetic potential is. It doesn't matter if you're looking for speed, you're looking for strength, you're just wanting to see what your potential is in the world of athletics, in the world of business. This is the type of person that's going to be so interested in what I have to offer for you today. What we're going to be talking about is that master formula for helping you achieve your genetic potential. I know it's a lot to cover, and it might sound a little bit too good to be true because a lot of times people are held up by all sorts of different obstacles, and they never really quite see where their genetic potential is. But this is what we're going to dive into, and I'm sure that you're going to have a blast with it. So let's go ahead and we'll get started. And so here we go. The master formula to achieving your genetic potential. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have us take a look here for a second, just a little bit about myself. I played basketball in college, and we won 3 conference championships. We won 3 tournament championships, and we even went to the Sweet 16. So played at a pretty high level there with basketball in college. And I also, a couple years ago, competed in the Ironman World Championships, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a little bit. But one thing that I've seen over the years is a lot of athletes not meeting their goals. They get hurt, sick, and burn out well before reaching their actual genetic potential. And, one of the things, if I kind of rewind backwards just a little bit, I had originally listened to this interview between Tony Robbins and a guy named Pete Sisco. And listening to that interview, one of the things that was really interesting is they were actually talking about being able to double and sometimes even triple your strength. And a period of time that seemed absolutely ludicrous that you could do that in a 3-4 month period of time. And, this dates back 15, 16 years ago. I bought one of those original pieces of equipment that they had promoted. Saw some amazing results both with myself and with patients in my office. And, fast forward a little bit, I'm in the Ironman World Championships. I start my training, and first thing that I did was consult with Pete Sisco. And I laid it on the line for him. I said, look, I've used your training. I've loved it forever. I've got this piece of equipment, and I've seen some amazing strength gains. My only problem in that particular instance was that every time that I start lifting that way, I more or less put on 15 pounds of muscle in a very short period of time, 6 to 8 weeks. And when you're competing in an ultra endurance event, that was something that I just didn't want to do, is carry around that kind of extra weight. So I called him up and we started discussing what my options were. And he was excited for me. He wanted to help me out. He said, we're not going to be able to use that equipment that you've got. And I was like, what are you talking about? This is a piece of equipment that I've seen such incredible gains from. He's like, well, Chris, instead of doing these lifts that are 10-second all-out isometric lifts that you get phenomenal results with for your ultra endurance event so that you can get the most amount of strength, the most amount of endurance, but do it without bulking on a lot of extra heavy muscle, we're going to do 3-minute long lifts. And the problem with the technology at the time is that it couldn't measure anything except for one peak number. And from an objectivity standpoint, one number over the course of 3 minutes doesn't really mean a whole lot. So we started developing a program that we could use for training for the Ironman World Championships. And that's actually what led down this road of actually me creating the technology to not only get that peak information with your all-out isometric lifts, but to be able to get all of the data unlike anything was ever available before, because the technology didn't even exist. So I set out and actually created the technology. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But that's where the background is and why this technology was created in the first place. So let's actually continue. We're going to move on here for a second. And we're going to actually jump right into this master formula for your genetic potential. First things first, you have to have the proper stimulation. If you're capable of lifting, let's say 100 pounds, and you go grab a 1-pound dumbbell, there's not a whole lot of stimulation, and there's not really a big reason for your body to need to make any real adaptative type of changes for the body. There's no adaptation that needs to take place. So we need proper stimulation. And with what we're going to talk about in future sessions here is how to create that maximum stimulation so that you're actually going to get the maximum adaptation by the body. Next is recovery. So we put in this big effort. Now we need to be able to recover with it. And this is where a lot of athletes actually create a lot of problems with actually reaching their genetic potential because they're not recovering before their next workout. So their workout has a lower amount of intensity. They're ultimately continuing this downward spiral where they're getting weaker, they're getting hurt, they're getting sick, and ultimately burn out because they're not reaching their goals either. So we need to make sure that we're getting a proper amount of recovery. Again, in a future session, we're going to talk in depth about all of these individual areas, but we're just going to get into the formula for the moment. And then when you add those three things together, you get the maximum stimulation, you get the recovery that you need from that, recovering back to where you were when you started the previous workout, and now you super compensate. So now you're actually stronger than your previous workout. And now this is when it's a good time to put in your next workout. And you create that cycle over and over and over again. Rinse, wash, and repeat so that you're going to get this upward spiral of getting stronger and stronger and stronger every single time. Very consistently having that progressive type of a change. So what are we going to see? You're going to see that you're going to get stronger in every possible way to reaching your genetic potential. Not just physically stronger, mentally stronger, and biochemically, the physiology in your body becoming stronger and more capable. We want to do this faster. This isn't just talking about being faster out on the playing field, running sprints, or being faster than anybody. We're talking about efficiency. You're not going to get to your genetic potential if a program that you're on is going to take you 25, 30, or 50 years to get to your genetic potential. Okay, we want to do this in the most efficient way possible so you're not becoming burnout and that we can actually get you to your goals. If you can't stick to a program long enough, if it's 20 years down the road, it's going to be really difficult for a lot of people to stay on course to reach your genetic potential. So we want to make sure that we're very, very efficient. Next, we want to make sure that we've got safety at a cornerstone of moving forward. And I see so many athletes, including myself, that have poor biomechanics at times. Maybe their ego gets a hold of them, especially in a high school weight room, and you're throwing on way more weight than you're physically capable of handling and just ending up with an injury as a result of that. Or you're putting yourself biomechanically in a disadvantageous position, thus causing injuries and creating a downward spiral or kind of improvements and then declines and improvements and declines because you're not actually having that stepping stone effect, getting higher and higher and higher effects out of the body. Next, we need to make sure we've got objectivity built in. All right. If we don't have objective numbers to follow, you don't know if you're progressing, and that can create long plateaus, and you're kind of in limbo land. You don't know where you're going to end up. Next, everything we need is going to be progressive. The intensity level that you're working out with has to be progressive every single time. If you don't have a progressive overload on your training, then the body basically says, so what? I don't need to adapt. I don't need to grow, get stronger, faster. There's no reason for the body to do it because you already have the capability if you're playing within your means. We have to have that progressive overload every single time to keep reaching that stepping stone to get higher and higher, moving towards your true genetic potential. And then, the holy grail of all of it, we need to take every one of those 8 other pieces and add in the consistency and the follow-through so that you're actually going to truly find out where your genetic potential lies. And I'll tell you that when you think that you're getting close, there's a lot of times where you're nowhere's even close to reaching your true genetic potential. All right? Just give you an example here for a moment. When I created the technology, we're now able to do any lift, any muscle group that you could think of, And whether you're going to do a 10-second all-out lift for maximum strength benefits, or you're going to do these ultra endurance type of isometric lifts that I've been doing that are 3 minutes long, absolutely brutal as far as the intensity level and the kind of effort that you have to put out. But the numbers are absolutely phenomenal. I'll just give you one example to take home. Instead of a traditional squat where you've got a bar on your shoulders, putting all that compression on your neck and shoulders and your spine. As a doc, I'm not really crazy about creating that kind of compression on the spine. Although the machine is capable of doing that, I also built in the capability to have a belt harness on with a chain attached to the machine. And now you can do a belt squat, which is going to offer a lot of benefits. One is you never have to worry about a spotter ever. You don't have to worry about dropping plates, loading plates, and you're going to be able to get the maximum load on those muscles very, very safely. And I'll give you an example of what happened with a lot of my lifts with the belt squat. So I started off doing my belt squat over a 3-minute period of time. The peak weight that I hit was 420 pounds. The most recent, and this is roughly 9 months later, my peak went up to 1,487 pounds. And that was over 8 lifting sessions. Absolutely phenomenal, mind-blowing gains exponentially. And then we're going to add in the information that you're going to get from a total perspective. Now we're going to get one reading per second for 180 seconds if you're doing a 3-minute long lift like I was. Started off at 26,000 pounds over 3 minutes. I was progressing and progressing. I got up to 80,000 pounds. And I told my father after that lift, I was so exhausted. I said, I think that I'm actually getting close to my genetic potential. I can't imagine actually doing even more than that. And I kept progressing and progressing. My most recent one, I hit 160,000 pounds. And what's actually really interesting is when I had that conversation with my father the day after I hit that 160,000 pounds, in that same 3-minute period of time, I got talking to him and I said, you know what, Dad? I actually think that I can blow that number away. I truly feel and I know that I'm going to be able to, and I'm still far away from my genetic potential. But it's when we can have those objective numbers now and get the progressive overload that my body is able to continue moving forward and forward and forward and consistently getting results every single time. All right? And I've seen this with every single one of my patients. Most of them will go between doubling and tripling their lifts over a 12-week period of time. And I see this consistently. This isn't cherry-picked results. This happens with every single person who lifts on the equipment. And that's something that we're going to have to look forward to on tomorrow's email. We're going to get into a lot more very specific information about the technology itself and why it's so beneficial, and some actually more specific results, and being able to follow all of that information across the board. So please tune in tomorrow, check for the email that'll be coming for you, and we're going to help in every possible way for you to actually keep taking those stepping stones forward and reaching your genetic potential. Thank you so very much. I'm excited that you've taken this journey with me. We're going to have a lot of fun doing it. Thank you so very much, and have a great day.